So now, as we are getting closer towards the end, now we are actually going to look at the main effects that we have found, or well, both significant and non-significant. So the reason there's actually an order that you're supposed to go in, or just really just look at. Since we have found a three-way interaction, we are only to focus on that and interpret it. However, I think just for illustrative purposes, it's really good to go through your main effects and your other interactions just to see what your data looks like, or just see what what's there. They provide very context, not contacts. You can't see. I thought that was funny. Oh, that's funny. Anyways, they provide really good context of what can be captured, or what is captured better than your three-way interaction. So yeah, so let's get started. So the first thing that I want to look at is the main effect of gender. And I'm going to put here it was non-significant. It's non-significant. So with this particular main effect, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to create a a bar graph, and I'm going to get the descriptive statistics for gender. So what we found from our ANOVA, we found that gender does not have a significant overall effect on attractiveness rating. So that means men and women across the board don't have significant differences in their ratings. So rather, they report similar ratings. Ouch. So looking at the descriptive stats here, we can see that. So for the mean for men, it was 68.6. And then the mean for women, it was 68.5. So they're not really far away from each other. In fact, they're actually pretty much the same. But I'm going to say extremely similar because I don't know that just based off of an eye perspective. And my eyes are pretty bad. So, but what the data is essentially telling us that they are essentially similar. They provide similar ratings. So that's kind of cool to note. The next thing that we're going to look at the main effect of rudeness. So this was significant according to the ANOVA approach. And I'll count that in there. Okay. And let me just add that for here too. Yep. Okay. So according to both of our statistical tests, rudeness did have a main effect on attractiveness rating. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a bar graph, and I'm going to get the descriptive statistics. So the first command allowed me to create the bones from my bar graph, and then the next one allowed me to flesh it out. And the next thing I'm also going to do, I'm going to get the descriptive stats. So just really quickly looking at the descriptive statistics, we see that that participants rated man, just trying to talk at the same time and think is super duper hard. Sorry about that, you guys. So anyways, for participants who had not rude dates, they rated them higher than moderately rude dates are just those who are assholes. And you see that. So, on average, not rude dates were given an attractiveness rating of 82.1. Moderately rude dates, 69.3. And then asshole dates, were given 54.3. Jesus, I really need a manicure. Anyways, so looking at the bar graphs, we see that same trend. Participants who had not rude dates rated them as more attractive than moderately rude and asshole dates. So as the levels of rudeness increase, you see a decrease in attractiveness rating. So overall, what this means is that when we ignore gender and when we ignore class, the level of rudeness is related to participants' attractiveness ratings. And just really quickly going in and looking at the contrast from the multi-level approach. Where am I? Oh, here we are. Yay. So looking specifically at this one, and this is kind of shocking. Individuals, comparing not rude to rude. So comparing not rude to moderately rude, you're seeing that, well, first off, it's non-significant. So what this means is that as far as levels of rudeness go, participants provided similar ratings of attractiveness on dates who were not rude and moderately rude. So there was no difference in their ratings, essentially what I'm trying to say. But if it was significant, then we would say that participants provided different ratings for the groups proposed. Now for rude, so moderately rude comparing to assholes, this is significant. This is less than 0.05. So what this says, and what this means is individuals who were moderately rude were provided with a higher attractiveness rating than assholes. So now that makes sense. So overall, the main picture is saying when it came to not rude and moderately rude dates, participants, regardless of gender or class, regardless of gender and regardless of the date's social class, participants provided similar ratings to not rude and moderately rude dates. But it was different. For moderately rude and asshole dates. So comparing these two was significantly different in ratings as compared to these two, which was not. And you would think so, but we're going with what the contrast says, and that's what it is. And very quick disclaimer, like I said before, we wouldn't really interpret the main effects, but I'm only doing this for illustrative purposes. So the next thing that we're going to look at the main effect of class. So I'm going to put here, this was significant according to the ANOVA approach. and multi-level linear model. Yep. And alright. So with this one, we're also going to do the same thing. We're going to create a bar graph, and then we're also going to get the stats for it. So this particular command allows me to make the bones of the graph, and then this command lets me flesh it out. And then the final command here, using the by function, it lets me get the descriptive statistics for class. So just comparing attractiveness ratings across the board, regardless of gender or rudeness or levels of rudeness, we see that individuals who were in lower class received higher ratings of attractiveness than dates who were in the middle class or upper class. And we see that documented here in the bar graphs. So we see as social class increases, we see a decrease in attractiveness ratings. So that's kind of cute. It just means that money isn't really everything. But once again, this is fake data, and it'd be really cool to see in the real world. But then again, nothing in this world surprises me anymore. So now the next thing that we're going to do, I'm going to shift over to the contrast portions. If I can find it. Where are you? Oh, there. Hey! So with this portion, just comparing lower class to middle class, we see that there's a significant p-value here. So this is good. This means that across the board, there were difference in ratings. Participants' ratings were significantly different when they compared, or when they had low class dates as opposed to middle class dates. So with this being said, let's see our values. Here we are. So individuals who were in lower class were given higher ratings of attractiveness than those who were in middle class. And then comparing middle class to upper class, this is also significant. So this means that there were difference in ratings comparing middle class to upper class dates. So right here, that's what we see. So essentially what this means is that individuals who are in middle class were given higher attractiveness ratings than individuals who are in upper class. So that's kind of cool to see. So in all, with the main picture of this particular effect, what it's saying is that when you ignore rudeness and when you ignore gender, social class does have some relation to attractiveness ratings. In that, individuals who were of lower class received the highest attractiveness ratings, and you see as you increase in social class, you see a decrease in attractiveness ratings. But once again, like I said before, even though we were provided with the main effects, you really wouldn't interpret these. I'm only interpreting these for illustrative purposes. So now in the next portion of the video, I'm going to be covering interactions. So I'm going to be looking at those two-way interactions that we found, and also that three-way interaction that was provided.